The first hours. You're refilling your coffee mug at 8:47 a.m. The break room smells like burnt Folgers and someone's microwaved fish. A sparrow hops on the windowsill outside, pecks at nothing, hops again. Then the window rattles. Not a truck, not a door slam. The whole building shudders, one hard pulse, like the earth cleared its throat. The sparrow is gone. Your coffee sloshes over your hand, and it's hot, 190 degrees of hot, but you barely feel it. You walk to the window. You look west. The sky is wrong. There is a column rising over the horizon, gray-white at the top, orange at the base, lit from underneath like something enormous is on fire. It is already taller than any cloud you have ever seen. It is still growing. You watch it grow. It doesn't stop. Someone in the hallway says, "Earthquake." Someone says, "Gas explosion." You don't say anything. You grab your jacket off the chair back, and you walk to the parking lot, and 40 other people are already out there, standing beside their cars, phones up, heads tilted back, mouths open. The sky above you is still blue, painfully, insultingly blue. The pigeons are still on the asphalt. A Ford F-150 is still running, door open, radio on. The radio says, "Yellowstone, magnitude 9.1, pyroclastic event confirmed." You are standing 800 miles from Yellowstone National Park. You can see it. The column is maybe 30 miles high and it is still climbing. The base glows orange-red. The top spreads like a bruise. Someone next to you starts crying, just quietly, no drama, like their body made a decision their brain hasn't caught up with yet. Your phone shows 11 missed calls. You didn't feel them. You call back. No answer. You call again. You look up at the pillar. You look at your coffee mug. You're still holding it. White ceramic, a chip on the handle. The words okayest accountant in red letters. You set it on the roof of the nearest car. You don't pick it up again. That's the last normal object in your life. You don't know that yet. You look west one more time. The column is wider now, darker at the edges, and the orange glow at its base has spread across the full western horizon like a second sunset happening in the wrong direction at the wrong time of day. The blue sky directly above you is shrinking. You get in your car. Day 1. You've been sitting in traffic for 2 hours and 40 minutes. You haven't moved 200 yards. The interstate is 6 lanes wide. Every lane is stopped. You can see it from the overpass you crawled under an hour ago. Car roofs stretching west to east as far as the eye can reach. Maybe 40 miles of metal and glass going nowhere. Headlights are on. It's noon. You need them. The sky did that. It's yellow-brown now, the color of old newspaper. The sun is still up there. You can find it if you look. A dull copper disc, like a penny pressed under dirty water. It doesn't warm anything. You roll down your window 2 inches. The air smells like sulfur and something else. Wet cement, maybe. Old fireplace ash. Then the first flakes come down. Not snow. Too fine, too gray. It settles on your hood in a thin coat, like someone dragged a finger through baby powder. It settles on the windshield. You turn on your wipers. They smear it into a gray paste across the glass. You turn on your washer fluid. The reservoir is almost empty, maybe 300 milliliters left, and you burn half of it, clearing your sightline. You learn to ration fast. Outside, people have left their cars. A woman in a yellow North Face jacket stands on the concrete barrier, holding a shirt over her mouth, staring west. 2 kids sit on a truck's tailgate, legs dangling. A man in a dress shirt leans on his horn. 3 short blasts, then nothing, like even he knows it's pointless. You check your phone. 2 bars, then 1. Then the spinning circle that means it's trying. You get one text through from your sister. Are you okay? Where are you? Call me. You call. Nothing. You call again. The call drops before it connects. You try 4 more times. The bars are gone. The screen shows no service, and it stays that way. Not spotty, not low signal. Gone. You sit with the phone in your hand for about 15 seconds. Then you put it face down on the passenger seat. You pop the trunk from the inside latch. You get out. The ash is light on your shoulders, maybe a millimeter deep, barely a dusting. But it's in your mouth in seconds, gritty and tasteless, like licking a sidewalk. You pull your shirt up over your nose. Your trunk holds a wool blanket, a car jack, a half-empty case of bottled water, maybe 8 liters total. A flashlight you haven't tested in 2 years. A Rand McNally wrote atlas from 2019. You take the atlas out and open it across the trunk lid. The highway is not moving. The highway is not going to move. You look at the map. You look at the ash falling soft and steady on the page, dotting the state lines gray. You make the turn no one wants to make. You leave the car. 1 week. The car lasted 18 miles. You knew something was wrong around mile 14. The engine started running rough, a low, shuddering choke, like it was breathing through a wet rag. By mile 18, it quit completely. You coasted to the shoulder and popped the hood. The air filter was packed solid. Gray paste, dense as wet clay. You could press your thumb into it and leave a print. The engine had been eating ash for 3 days, and it finally choked on it. You leave the car at a Sunoco station on Route 9. The pumps are dark. Every window is smashed. You can see straight through to the empty shelves, bare metal racks, a knocked-over rack of sunglasses, a Slurpee machine with its lid pried off. Someone was thorough. Someone was fast. The ash on the forecourt is 4 inches deep and flat and gray, and your boots sink into it with each step like cold sand. You leave 2 furrows behind you. The man from apartment 4C, he'd followed you since day 2. Quiet, helpful, always 10 steps behind. He's not with you anymore. He refused the mask. You told him 3 times. He said it was fine. He said the ash was light. On day 4, he started coughing. On day 5, he couldn't stop. On day 6, he sat down against a concrete pylon under an overpass, and he looked at you with watery red eyes, and you both knew. You stayed with him 4 hours. Then you didn't. Not a choice with good options. Just a choice. You keep moving east. The pack weighs 35 pounds. You weighed it on a postal scale in an abandoned FedEx office on day 3. 35.4 pounds exactly. Water is most of that. 4 liters. You know water is life, and weight is death, and you haven't figured out how to solve that math yet. You're wearing ski goggles, cheap ones, Zeal brand, yellow lenses, and a bandana soaked in water from a bottle you can't replace. The bandana dries out every 40 minutes. You wet it again. It's a system. The city looks wrong now. Buildings you recognize have no edges. Their upper floors dissolve into the ash haze 60 feet up, like they've been erased. Ash coats every surface the same flat gray. Cars, signs, a swing set in a fenced yard, all gray. Same texture, same tone. The world has one color now. You learn what looting sounds like. Breaking glass first, then voices, low, fast, practical, not angry. Then boots on pavement. You learn which blocks to skip. You learn to walk in the gutter where the ash is thinner. At the intersection of Route 9 and Mercer Street, someone has barricaded a parking garage with shopping carts and plywood. A fire burns in a steel drum near the entrance. Real wood, not trash. Smoke rises gray into gray sky. A shape stands near the drum, bundled in layers, watching you. You don't stop. You don't make eye contact. You keep your right hand free. Your boots leave tracks behind you in the ash. By the time you look back, the tracks have softened at the edges. The ash is filling them in. Slow, patient, like it has all the time in the world. 1 month. The caravan found you on day 19, or you found it. Hard to say now. 31 people moving east on Route 40 in a loose column. 4 vehicles, 2 carts, 1 handcart with a squeaking left wheel you can hear 200 meters away. You fell in behind them and nobody told you to leave. That was the agreement. That was all of it. You've covered 140 miles in 11 days, roughly 13 miles a day, some days less. The sky has not changed once. Flat pewter. No sun, no shadow, no edge between cloud and not cloud. Just a ceiling of gray that sits on everything. Every tree you pass is bare. August, and the oaks look like November. Gray dust creates every branch, every twig, every dead curled leaf still clinging to the stems. The world looks taxidermied. The phone went 3 days ago. You traded it to a woman at a roadside well pump who had a hand-crank water filter. A Sawyer squeeze, modified, 1.2 liters per minute output if you work the handle steady. She wanted the phone. You held it for a long moment. The screen was dark and cracked and had been dead for 2 weeks. But the photos were on it. Your mother at her kitchen table. Your sister at the beach, squinting into sun that no longer exists. You handed it over. She didn't ask why your hands shook. You didn't explain. Now you carry the filter. It has a job. The photos did not. The community center appears at 3 p.m. Not that you know it's 3 p.m., only that the gray has shifted slightly darker in the east. It's a 2-story brick building at the edge of a mountain town whose name is on a sign you can't read under the ash. The parking lot holds a ring of cars pushed bumper to bumper. Sedans, a pickup, an old Subaru forming a wall 6 feet high of crumpled metal. Someone has nailed plywood over every window. A hand-painted sign reads, "No entry, full," but the words are crossed out in red spray paint. Underneath, someone has written in block letters, "Skills traded for entry." Then a list: medical, water treatment, fire management, construction, radio operation. You read it twice. The caravan leader, a broad woman in a Gore-Tex shell who speaks in flat, short sentences, shakes her head. They won't take 31. You tell her to let you try. There are 2 men at the entrance. They have rifles, .308 bolt actions, both of them. And they look at you like you are a math problem they are tired of solving. You don't plead. You don't explain the journey. You tell them you have a working filter rated at 1.2 liters per minute. You tell them you know how to read ash density for safe passage windows. You tell them you've cleared 3 blocked air intakes in the last week, and you can show them how. You tell them the caravan has 4 people who can swing a hammer and 1 who was an EMT for 6 years in Pittsburgh. One of the men looks at the other. You wait. Your face is still. A month ago you would have kept talking. You don't anymore. The door opens. 6 months. You build the greenhouse in 9 days. The frame is steel conduit pipe, salvaged from a collapsed hardware store 4 blocks north. 12 feet wide, 40 feet long, bolted to the community center's south wall with L brackets you cut from a car's door hinge plate. The plastic sheeting is 6mm polyethylene, double-layered, sealed at every seam with aluminium HVAC tape. It took 11 rolls. You counted before you started. You don't begin things without counting anymore. Outside the plastic walls, noon looks like 9 p.m. The sky is the color of old concrete. Ash falls in slow diagonals, light as powder, constant as breathing. The oak trees in the parking lot are gray sculptures, they have not budded in 6 months. They will not. Inside, the air is 61 degrees Fahrenheit, warm enough. The grow lamps run 14 hours a day, 6 strips of red-pink LED panels zip-tied to the pipe frame overhead, powered by a car alternator bolted to a stationary bike frame in the boiler room. 3 people pedal in 2-hour shifts, 6 hours total, charging a bank of 4 marine batteries wired in series. The math was yours. The wiring was yours. You drew the circuit on a piece of drywall with a Sharpie before you touched a single wire. Under the lights, 22 seedling trays hold kale, spinach, radishes, and 2 varieties of dwarf tomato. Day 11. The first cotyledons opened 4 days ago, pale green, the size of a baby's fingernail. You wrote it in the logbook the way you used to write nothing. You crouch between the rows now, logbook open on your knee, pencil moving. Tray 7, kale, 40% germination rate. Tray 12, spinach, slower, 28%. The plastic walls sweat with condensation and turn the outside world to a gray-white blur. The grow lamps throw pink-orange light up from below. You are warm, just barely. Your jacket is a military surplus M65 field coat, olive drab, right shoulder patched with duct tape over a tear you got on the hardware store salvage run. Your hair has grown past your ears. You don't think about it. You eat 1,800 calories a day. Corn and oat porridge in the morning, 420 calories, measured by weight on a postal scale. A shared bean stew at night, roughly 600. The rest in crackers and peanut butter portioned into a small tin. You eat without tasting. You calculate before you swallow. You used to love food. Not anymore. The community runs 47 people now. 4 watch rotations, 6 hours each. 2 water filter stations. A sick room in the East Wing. 3 cases of respiratory infection this week. Mild. Treated with the last of the azithromycin. You chair the resource meeting every 3rd day. You speak in short sentences. People write things down when you talk. That still surprises you a little. The man who pedals the first shift knocks on the greenhouse frame. "Lamp hour 8, he says. "Copy," you say. You don't look up. You finish the row count. You write the number. The first tomato seedling in tray 19 has grown 3 millimeters since yesterday. You stare at it for longer than is practical. Green. Actual green. The only green thing for as far as anyone has walked in 6 months. You write it down and close the book. 1 year. They come at 3 a.m. 20 of them. You count from the 2nd floor window in the dark. They move in 2 groups across the parking lot, low and fast, wearing scarves over their faces and carrying whatever they could find. 2 hunting rifles, a shotgun, hand tools made into weapons, crowbars, a fire axe. They've done this before. You can tell by how they split. The alarm is a soup can on a wire. It rattles once, then again. You have 11 seconds before they reach the door. You get 7 people into position. The rest go to the back room with the seats. 847 seat packets sorted by type into labeled Ziploc bags, sealed inside 2 plastic storage totes. You told them weeks ago, if anything happens, you protect the totes first. They remembered. Good. The next 6 hours are the worst of your life. The community center exterior takes the first hit at 3:09 a.m. 2 road flares arc through the broken east window and the curtain catches. Someone gets it out with a boot and a bucket of sand. The smoke stains the brick black all the way to the roofline. 2 of the perimeter cars, a Subaru and the Ford F-150 you pushed into position last March, are overturned and burning by 4 a.m., throwing orange light across the ash drifts in the parking lot. The road flares you scavenged and staked along the perimeter glow red in the grey ash, like something from a fever dream. You can see everything out there. That was the plan. At 4:23 a.m., A man gets through the side door. He is not much older than you. Thin. Boots wrapped in electrical tape to hold the soles on. He wants the seats, says so. Actually says the word, seats, like it's the most reasonable thing in the world. And maybe it is. And that's the part you'll never stop thinking about. He has a knife. He uses it. The cut runs 8 centimeters across your left forearm, inner side, clean and fast. You feel it like a line drawn in cold water. Not pain yet. That comes later. What you do next takes 4 seconds. You don't think about it. You act. Your hands remember something you trained into them with a sharpened piece of rebar against a hanging tire, 6 days a week, since February. Later you will not be able to describe the 4 seconds clearly. You won't try. He goes down. He doesn't get up. By 5:47 a.m., the raiding party is gone. 12 fled, 5 held at the east wall, 3 in the parking lot who will not be leaving. The man from the side door is the 4th. You wrap your arm with a strip torn from a clean shirt, 4-inch gauze pressure layer underneath, and you go back to the window. The sky above the parking lot is still the color of wet concrete. But there, barely, just once, you see it. 1 star. A ghost of white light through a thin place in the ash cloud. 6 seconds. Then it's gone. You don't tell anyone. At dawn, you dig 4 graves in the ash outside the east wall with an entrenching tool, 18 inches down to hard earth. You do it alone. It takes 40 minutes. The ground is gray. Everything is gray. The road flares have burned out. The smoke stain above the window is still there and will be there forever. You stand at the graves for a moment. Then you go back inside. Your arm needs stitches. You'll do it yourself. 4-0 nylon suture, 7 stitches. The same kit you used on the man with the fractured rib back in month 4. The forearm will scar. 8 centimeters, permanent, inner left arm. You already know you won't cover it up. You call the resource meeting 2 hours early. You speak in short sentences like always. You tell them what happened. You tell them what it means. You tell them you need 4 more people on watch rotation, starting tonight, and a second barricade line 30 feet out from the perimeter cars. Then you tell them the greenhouse holds. The seeds are safe, every tray intact. The 11 faces staring back at you look like people who haven't slept. They look like people who are still alive because of decisions you made. They look at you the way you used to look at people who knew things you didn't. You give the orders. Nobody argues. You were someone else a year ago. You were in a break room watching a sparrow. That person is gone, buried out there with the others, under 18 inches of cold ash. You don't mourn them. You don't have time. 2 years. You stand at the head of a table made from 2 highway traffic barriers laid flat across sawhorses, concrete gray, painted with directional arrows that still point nowhere. 12 people sit along it. Each one wears something different. A parka stitched with rabbit fur at the collar, a canvas vest studded with sewn-on wool patches, a coat made entirely from car upholstery. No 2 communities look the same. You can read their winter by how many layers they wear. The fire station bay smells like kerosene and damp wool. The lantern on the table throws hard shadows up the wall behind you. Behind them, a hand-drawn map covers the full back wall, 6 feet wide, 4 feet tall, drawn on the back of billboard vinyl. 12 red circles mark the shelters. Roads are labeled in 2 colors, black for ash clear, red for impassable. There are more red lines than black. You have 847 words written on 4 sheets of paper. You call it the Ash Compact. You read it out loud. It takes 11 minutes. The bay is quiet, except for the lantern hiss and someone coughing twice at the far end. The compact covers 3 things: Shared caloric reserves triggered when any shelter drops below 1,400 calories per person per day, a dispute process with a 3-shelter panel, and a single rule about expulsion. It requires 2/3 agreement, no exceptions. You wrote that rule because of what happened at Shelter 9 in January. You don't explain why. Everyone at this table already knows. Outside the open bay doors, the sky is thin and watery. Not bright, not grey, something between. It's slightly lighter than it was 6 months ago. Nobody says it out loud. You've all stopped saying things out loud that might not last. One leader, the woman who runs Shelter 4, 22 kilometers northeast, boots wrapped in the same electrical tape you saw on that man 2 years ago, asks one question. She asks, what happens if a shelter signs and then hoards? You tell her the answer is in section 3, paragraph 2. She reads it. She nods. 12 people sign it. Each one presses a thumbprint next to their name in a different color of ash-mixed ink, gray, brown, rust, black. You sign last. The scar on your inner left forearm shows below your sleeve as you write. 8 centimeters. You don't pull the sleeve down. You roll the original and seal it in a PVC pipe cap with silicone caulk, watertight, fireproof enough. A second copy goes to Shelter 7. A third gets photographed on a disposable camera, one of 4 left in the network. You don't feel relief. You feel the weight shift. Before today, bad decisions cost your people. Now they cost 12 communities, 340 people across 3 counties. You've done the math. Each wrong call at this table is measured in grams of grain and degrees of cold and children under 5. You know the mortality rate for kids under 5 in the network this winter was 11%. You know it because you compiled the numbers yourself on a yellow legal pad by lamplight at 2 a.m. You learn the math of leadership. You learn it has no bottom. You learn that every person who trusts you is weight you carry every hour. You move to the second agenda item. Shelter 3 has 80 kilograms of seed potatoes and no grow space. Shelter 11 has 600 square feet of cleared greenhouse but lost half its seed stock to a fungal rot in October. Grey mold, botrytis, killed 40% of the tray starts in 9 days. You propose a transfer. 40 kilograms of potatoes move northwest, 18 kilometers by sled, in exchange for first harvest priority. The math works for both sides. It takes 6 minutes to agree. This is what leadership looks like now. Not speeches, not inspiration. 40 kilograms of potatoes and the sled route. After the signing, the 12 leaders pull on their layers and head for their respective doors. You watch them go, each one back to a different road, a different shelter, a different set of people who need them alive and functional. One man leaves on a bicycle with studded tire chains, a red flag on the rear rack so the road crews can spot him in low visibility. He pedals into the watery daylight and disappears into the ash haze at the edge of the road. You fold the extra copy of the compact. You extinguish the lantern. The bay is empty. The map on the wall still shows 12 red circles and more red lines than black ones. But the circles are connected now, by ink lines you drew yourself, by 847 words, by 12 thumbprints in ash-mixed ink. The region has a shape now. It has a structure. You didn't build it because you wanted to lead. You built it because 340 people needed something to hold on to, and you were the one still standing at the table when everyone else ran out of ideas. You pick up your pack. You have 14 kilometers to cover before dark. 5 years. The fairground is 3 acres of dark soil in neat rows under a pale gray-blue sky. You can see the sun. It's blurry and white, not yellow, not warm, but it's there, above the tree line, unmistakable. 800 people move between the rows in patched wool and layered canvas. Hand-stitched banners fly from watchtowers at the field's four corners: blue, rust, brown, white. Beyond the cleared perimeter, the dead forest stretches grey to every horizon. The green of the crop rows is the only green in the entire world you can see from here. You stand at the field's edge and count the rows. 41. Kale, turnips, winter radish, 3 rows of garlic. The soil is black and loose. 2 years of composted ash, rotted organic matter, horse manure, and shredded bark, turned by hand 8 times. You supervised the first turning yourself. The pH was wrong for 18 months. You fixed it with powdered limestone, 400 kilograms sourced from a quarry supply depot 31 kilometers east. This is what 4,000 people needed to survive another winter. 3 acres. Someone hands you a turnip. It's the size of your fist. You turn it over. The dirt on it is real dirt, not ash, not grey paste, dark brown. You press your thumb into it. It smells like something alive. You don't cry. You stopped crying somewhere around year 3. But you hold the turnip for a long time. The festival wasn't your idea. That matters. A woman from the Eastern Settlement, she runs a school out of a repurposed tire shop. 47 kids between ages 4 and 11. She proposed it 6 weeks ago at the council session. She said the people needed to gather for a reason that wasn't a crisis. You voted yes. You thought it was a risk. 800 people in one place, 40 liters of boiled cider, fiddle music played on an instrument with 2 borrowed strings. You were wrong to hesitate. You know that now. The market runs along the fairground's western fence, repurposed chain link hung with canvas stall covers, hand-lettered signs, dried mushrooms, rendered tallow candles, bicycle parts. A man sells tooth powder from a folding table. A girl, maybe 9, trades 2 jars of preserved beets for a pair of wool socks. This is commerce. Clumsy and slow and completely real. The council governing structure has its own building now. A converted equipment barn 6 kilometers north, with a wood stove, a standing map table, and a window made from 3 car windshields mortared together. Not beautiful. Functional. Then, near dusk, a runner finds you. She's 17, one of the Eastern Settlement's message riders. She hands you a folded paper, written in pencil, careful block letters, relayed across 4 checkpoints. Your sibling is alive. Southern faction territory. 200 miles of contested ashland between you. Probably unreachable. You fold the paper. You put it in your breast pocket. You look back at the field. 800 people. Firelight now. Someone playing that broken fiddle. The banners snap in a cold wind. The blurry sun is gone below the tree line. The turnip is still in your other hand. You set it down carefully in the soil. You go back to the festival. You stay until the last fire goes out. 10 years. You point to the chart with a stick, worn smooth at the tip from 2 years of use. 20 students look up at you from salvaged stadium seats, blue plastic, red plastic, 1 wooden bleacher bench, arranged in a semicircle on the hillside. Their notebooks are open. Their handwriting is careful. They were born into the gray, every single one of them. The chart behind you is hand-painted on a pine board, 4 feet wide. Month by month, 10 years of sun intensity readings. A slow curve climbing from near zero at the bottom left towards something that almost looks like hope at the top right. Almost. The line flattens before it gets there. You drew that chart yourself in the council barn by lamplight over 3 nights. You tap the flat part of the curve. This doesn't keep climbing, you tell them, not for a long time. One of them, maybe 15, wearing a patched coat with a council district patch sewn at the shoulder, raises her hand. How long? You look at the chart. You look at the valley below. Smoke rises from a dozen chimneys. The fields are green in thin strips. Kale, root crops, winter wheat in its second trial year. Low rebuilt structures line the valley floor, timber-framed with sod roofs, nothing taller than 2 stories. You can see a water wheel turning on the creek. You built the first version of that wheel in year 4. This is the 3rd iteration. 40 years, you say. Maybe more. They write it down. They don't flinch. That's the difference. You look at their faces and you don't see loss. You see people who learned soil ash content charts before they learned how to ride a bike. People who know that a pH reading of 5.8 means you add lime before you plant, not after. People who have never waited for something to go back to normal, because normal, for them, is this. The sky above the valley is pale blue-gray, hazy. The sun is there, milky white, not yellow, casting flat shadowless light across the hillside. You remember a morning, 10 years ago, watching a sparrow on a windowsill. You remember the color of that light, warm, gold, coming through clean glass with a cup of coffee in your hand. You don't wait for that anymore. You stopped somewhere around year 7. Not with grief, just you set it down, like a turnip in the dirt. Your left forearm aches in the cold. It always does now. You turn back to the chart. Read the October column, you say. Tell me what you'd planned. They bend over their notebooks. Pencils move. Someone asks a question about root depth. Someone else argues about compost ratios. They argue well. You taught them to argue well. The valley below breathes smoke and green. The water wheel turns. The hazy sun does not warm you, but it is there. You keep teaching. A teenager sits cross-legged on her bed, thumbs dancing across a glowing screen. Sunlight streams through the window, illuminating the small succulent on the sill. She doesn't notice the faint tremor, barely perceptible, that makes the potted plant shift an inch closer to the edge. Her coffee sits untouched on the nightstand, steam rising in lazy spirals. Outside, a sparrow hops along the weathered fence, searching for seeds. She scrolls. The earth breathes, and somewhere, deep below, the pressure builds anew. The cycle continues.